The world as we know it does not exist without struggle. Our civilization is under constant assault by forces that we would have once called the powers of hell. In truth, these forces are more ancient than Christianity, more ancient than any religion that has left its mark on our species' soul. It is evil incarnate, and it has been working to destroy our highest aspirations, our faith in love and light, since we came into being. But we do not dare name this evil. To do so would be to admit to its presence in our world, to acknowledge that its servants walk the same streets that we walk, and its overlords, depraved, corrupt, and hungry for our flesh and our destruction, are hidden in the empty wastes of our planet, awaiting the day of mankind's execution. Only one power stands between us and universal death: warrior magicians who have dedicated their lives to our protection. Most of us will never know their names, nor the battlefields where they waged their secret wars, nor will we ever honor their dead, but they are with us, always, armed, vigilant, and ready to die for another tomorrow. Jericho. They are called Jericho. They know all too well what the enemy is capable of, that before our species perishes, we will be tortured into madness, devoured alive. They will do all that they can to protect us from such atrocities. If the world exists tomorrow, now you know why. Jericho. Opening narration for Clive Barker's Jericho. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the middle of July and Pride Month is already more than a week away. There's also the fact that my birthday is just a day away now, and I have to live with the fact that I am now one more year older since I started this channel. Anyway, back to what I was saying. While this video mostly focuses on a specific work created by Clive Barker, this is more or less my tribute to the British author who changed my mind about the LGBT plus community, and how I eventually became one of their supporters. Where I come from, most LGBT plus people tend to be stereotyped by our culture and society, and, for me at least, Clive Barker and his creations are a refreshing change of pace for all that, and convinced me how creative, diverse, and utterly unpredictable the talents of LGBT plus and of course other people can be. You know, this taught me that you can't really pigeonhole a specific community into one thing, as is often taught by our culture and society here in the Philippines. People tend to be different, and their skill sets tend to be different as well as their taste in things. And if you're a Clive Barker fan already, you know just what kind of taste Clive Barker has. Anyway, hi, hello, and welcome again everybody to another episode of Natural Juan. This time around, I'd like to discuss Clive Barker's Jericho, a first-person shooter horror game made by, surprise, surprise, Clive Barker. Before all that though, I'd like to invite you all to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. Special shout out too to Mr. Jonathan Green, my patron in Patreon. If you would also like to support my channel and what I do here, please check out my Patreon, PayPal, and Gcash information in the description below. And yeah, I know I'm a little late for the party, but keep on rocking, LGBT plus community, wherever and whoever you may be. Anyway guys, it's time to approach the seal and challenge the firstborn of God in Clive Barker's Jericho. Clive Barker's Jericho is a first-person shooter game developed by Mercury Steam and published by Codemasters in 2007. To simplify its premise, it is about a team, or squad if you prefer, of soldiers with magical powers taking on a demonic monster with the ability to travel through time who wants to free itself from a dimensional prison and then take over the world. The game's setting and lore, however, sits firmly in the genre of horror, with mutilated monsters and evil gods which are a staple of Clive Barker's work. Of course, for a more comprehensive look at the game's story and lore, it is said that before God created man, he first brought forth a being known as the Firstborn. Made in the image of God, the Firstborn has no gender, is possessed of godlike power in its own right, and turned out to be a little too much for God. So, instead of choosing to destroy his first creation, God imprisoned the Firstborn in an extra-dimensional prison called the Pixies, which simply means box. and decided that it should be kept there and hidden within a region of the Middle Eastern desert called Al-Khali. However, being an entity of extraordinary power, the firstborn was sought out by many megalomaniacs and evil organizations throughout history. There were the first rulers of Mesopotamia who sought to harness the powers of the firstborn for their own gain. Then, a corrupt and perverted Roman governor came over and saw the firstborn as a way for him to indulge in his fantasies without consequences of any kind. During the Middle Ages, a maddened bishop with delusions of grandeur and a questionable interest in children sought out the firstborn, thinking he was called out in the desert by God. In World War II, an evil Nazi officer decided to set up shop in Al-Khali as well, thinking that the firstborn could somehow improve their chances of winning the war. Finally, in the modern world, a terrorist group known as the Brotherhood of the Dark Rapture took an interest in the firstborn in Al-Khali after they had been disillusioned by the horrors of war and the inherent cruel nature of man. It is in this latest incursion of the firstborn upon the world that we meet our heroes. Captain Devin Ross, leader of the team and possessed of telepathic powers which proves useful in giving orders without actually being heard. Captain Xavier Jones, librarian of the US Army with a deep knowledge of the occult and able to sense supernatural activity. Father Paul Rawlings, a military chaplain with the ability to heal others from a long distance away. Lieutenant Abigail Black, a telekinetic sniper with the uncanny ability to control the trajectory of some of her sniper rifle rounds. Sergeant Frank Delgado, a pyromancer or fire sorcerer armed with a heavy machine gun and a rather abrasive attitude. Sergeant Billy Church, the team's scout, or better put, ninja, armed with a sword, pistol, and devastating witchcraft. Together, without giving away too many spoilers, the 7 heroes brave the extra-dimensional Pixies and fight off various monsters to end the threat of the firstborn. Overall, Clive Barker's Jericho was mostly derided by gamers due to the fact that it lacked some of the exploration that other games like it had. There was usually only one path, often strewn with corpses, blood, gore, fecal matter, and God knows what else. Also, while the characters were each pretty cool in their own right, they suffered quite a bit in terms of being voiced and how they never really seemed to change that much save for the new powers they'd gain as the game progressed. That said, this is a game made by the Clive Barker, ladies and gentlemen, and he does not disappoint when it comes to story, lore, and characterization. It was a very nice touch to show that someone like Captain Ross, the leader, as despite being an all-around badass with the ability to heal people from grievous injuries, he still suffered from trauma and a sense of growing inadequacy. Father Rawlings too is a pretty interesting character, especially when he comes to admit to being human, and that even devoted servants of God can still be tempted at times. The villains are also quite spectacular as they are gruesome, with Bishop Malthius really believing that he is serving God, even though it's quite clear that he is trying to justify his secret perversions. There is also Governor Vicus, who fully embraces evil and disgusting practices and, as a video game enemy, is someone you'll enjoy killing. While I will say the game could use some work, I won't go and say that it's horrible. It does have strong points here and there, but is in dire need of some improvement. The game could have been saved if they added more possible customization for the characters, a la Borderlands, wherein the characters could change their weapons or upgrade them in some way. As examples, I could say that Black could change her weapon from a sniper rifle to marksman rifle that could be put on burst fire or full auto fire. Church might be able to swap her pistol for a shuriken, which might be appropriate for her character, and it might actually be interesting to see Father Rawlings wielding a flamethrower while reciting Bible verses, but that might just be the Warhammer 40,000 fan in me. On another note, I can also suggest giving the characters a chance to customize their powers, such as allowing Church to use healing witchcraft, Delgado using more protective abilities, and maybe Jones being able to mind control enemies. As for the enemies themselves, while they can't avoid being overexposed, killing the horror, they could have been made to appear at more random intervals in order to catch the players off guard, providing a crude, simple, but probably effective jump scare. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Natural Juan. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. If you would also like to support my channel and what I do here, please check out my Patreon, PayPal, and Gcash information in the description below. Natural Juan, out.